My wife wanted an open marriage because she was bored, but when my new partner turned out to be a perfect match, she demanded to close it. I told her, it's too late. I want a divorce. Now, she's furious and trying to win me back. I, 42M, have been married to my wife, 40F, for 10 years now, and in that time, we've had an okay marriage. Honestly, there have been many times when I felt that I could have waited a little longer and found someone who was perfect for me. But she was good enough. I know that sounds like a horrible thing to say, but I was 32 when I got married, and I was tired of being lonely. Understand that I'm not saying that she's horrible, but sometimes I wish that I'd had someone who loved the same things I loved from the very start. My mother told me back then that a partner doesn't always need to be an exact copy of you, though, and I think that's what got me to eventually see her as the right choice for me. I know this is the kind of thing that people shouldn't say out loud, but I'm trying to speak from a logical and honest perspective, and I hope that all of you can understand what I'm trying to say. I'm not trash-talking her, but there certainly could have been someone better for me out there. I mean, I know this even more than ever now thanks to something that happened, and I'm going to get to all of that. But I need to set up the appropriate background so that you can understand. Like most guys, I like getting intimate with my wife, and for the first 3 years of our marriage, things were great. The next 3 years were pretty crap comparatively, but I still managed to push through that aspect of our lives. The last 4 years, though, we've probably slept together only 20 times, and I wish I was exaggerating with that. I've talked with her about it time without number and even suggested that we could try out a therapist that specializes in those kinds of things, but those conversations have never gone anywhere sensible. It seemed like she was completely fine with the status quo and didn't really put me into consideration. I had to resort to taking matters into my own hands, literally, when things got a bit too hot for me to handle and she wasn't responding to my advances. At a point, I just stopped making those advances entirely because I started to hate being rebuffed. As far as I was concerned, our marriage was kind of just bland, but I appreciated her companionship most of the time. I think my mood only really soured when it came to bedroom activities, but apart from that, I was fine being with her. It wasn't horrible. Now, considering how much I had felt tormented by the whole intimacy situation, I won't lie, I considered cheating on way too many frustrating occasions. But I think the key thing is that I never even came close to following the whims. I do feel guilty that I felt that way, but when the only person you're allowed to sleep with absolutely refuses to most months, why do you have to stay locked down? Now, with this in consideration, when my wife sat down with me one day to say that she wanted to talk about her bedroom affairs, I kept my cool on the outside. But inside, I was extremely excited. She typically acted like that part of our life did not exist at all, so hearing this from her was actually a big change of pace. Perhaps she had finally felt the need for us to try harder. I couldn't have been more wrong, though, as the first thing she said after I let her know I was listening was, "I want us to open up our marriage." Hearing that dumbfounded me. Honestly, it was the last thing I would have expected her to say, and I think she saw how shocked I was. So, she tried to explain herself, perhaps hoping that it would have made things better. She said that she felt like she was bored in that aspect of our lives. She kept emphasizing that it's not like sleeping with me was bad. On the contrary, she liked it a lot. But she claimed it was like having the same steak for 10 years straight. I rebuffed right away, saying that I had always been open to us spicing things up in different ways if she wanted something new. But she claimed that the problem wasn't the things we do but the person she was doing it with. She said that someone new could be refreshing and that with new people sprinkled here and there, sleeping with me might regain some of its spark. Honestly, I didn't know how to feel about a lot of that. My ego was hurt, and I just sat there wondering what I was supposed to say in return to all of that. I let her know that I would think about it and excused myself to go and take a long walk. It was during that walk that I realized that an open marriage would benefit me too, especially if I had been so starved. But it still wasn't something I really wanted to do. I was trying to look on the bright side, though. If she wanted it that bad and was trying to hold our bedroom life to ransom by claiming that an open marriage would potentially solve our issues, I'd give her what she wanted. I didn't want it, but if she did, I would make sure that I put the freedom that it gives to very good use. So, when I returned home, I let her know that I had thought about it. I was far from ecstatic about the idea, but because I loved her, I would try it out. She seemed extremely happy about that. The next day, she said we should talk about rules, which we did. No bringing them to the house, no sleeping with anyone we know, always use protection. She said we could talk about them if we wanted. I told her I didn't like that rule, so we scrapped that right away, and that was it. Things were official. She was instantly in a better mood. I wasn't, however. I promised myself that I wouldn't mope around and watch her body count double while I was being a cuck. I considered downloading Tinder, but I'm something of a nerdy guy, and I felt I wasn't going to have very much luck in those arenas. Instead, I decided to explore options in the communities that I belong to. I knew it wouldn't be as quick for me as a dating app could be, but I was looking for quality. I know, kind of stupid when you're married. Anyway, it annoyed me beyond what I could have imagined when, 2 days after we made our agreement, my wife dressed up all nice and said that she was going on a date. She was clearly in a very good mood, and somehow annoyed me even more. She must have installed Tinder that very same night. At that moment, I really regretted having agreed to the whole thing, and I know a lot of you are going to say I never should have. I know that too. Looking back, it wouldn't have been excessive to just end things if she felt the solution to things was to start sleeping with other people. I had already agreed, though, and I wanted to make sure I at least had a little fun. Considering she came home past midnight, I just pretended that I was asleep because I really did not want to see my wife when I assumed she had just returned from being railed by someone. The idea disgusted me. We didn't talk about it the next morning, but I knew at that point that I would have to start exploring my options. There's a lady in one of the Discord servers I'm on that I've always admired, and the new development made it possible for me to flirt with reckless abandon. So, that was exactly what I did. I struck up a conversation with her and started to get a little flirty. Thankfully, she seemed to return a few of my comments. I've been trying to avoid being explicit about what I'm really into because I've been judged quite a lot, but I'm massively into Lego and Gunpla. It's my primary hobby, and I think it's because I love the hands-on nature of it. This lady, let's call her Maria, let me know that she had bought a new Lego kit and that she'd love if we could build it together. She said it'd be a great opportunity for us to get to know each other better, and I agreed instantly. I chose the next evening for us to get started because I needed to mentally prep myself. She'd be the first person I was sleeping with apart from my wife in an entire decade. I would need to get protection and settle my anxiety. The evening of the same day, my wife went out yet again. Honestly, I was pissed, but I didn't show it. 2 nights in a row felt ridiculous to me. We weren't even a week into the new arrangement. It was so evident to me how much of a mistake I had made. Anyway, I took it on the chin because I had no choice. Eventually, the next evening came, and I dressed up casually and let her know that I was heading out. She seemed extremely surprised, and it was clear she was holding herself back from saying something.